Alright, seems like we have a tiebreaker game this GP. So it's Scribble versus Herzi, and this is going to determine who makes it to the top 8.
Yeah, so we have black green control the. I guess it's just control, not
Yeah.
really many mid-range pieces, versus a much harder control deck in Bug Maze Collection. I think this matchup has gone 2-0 in the way of black green this GP. Scribble needing to defeat the same deck to get into the tiebreaker.
Right. Did both players mulligan to 6?
Yeah, 2 one-landers, pretty mediocre.
Sherman Valdez for Scribble.
Yeah, and importantly, that's going to get under the cosmic sinkhole. Scribble will be on the play due to seeding.
I mean, is that going to take the cosmic sinkhole? Because if so, then Herzi has nothing, right?
I have to imagine it takes the sinkhole.
Naming low, yeah, going for a kneecap.
Like, you do have the Whisperwood exploration, which admittedly is a bit awkward with Valdez, but has a decent chance to find you another discard spell.
Is Pithbolt useful at all in this matchup? Well, I guess it is, because, yeah, Scribble has a bunch of things to kill.
Yeah, I mean, just in Skull's hand, it kills Kalimwella and Sangjin, which aren't, like, super high priority targets. I think in a different matchup, different game in this matchup, they also killed Bow's Descent, since the bug deck can get blue mana, of course, cast blue spells.
Herzi's playing Renewal Grove instead of Aratha.
Not sure.
Do they care that much about turn 2 Pithbolt? Like, does Scribble... I guess Scribble can play a 3-drop, and Herzi can Pithbolt it right away.
I guess just getting the mana efficiency. At the same time, you do kind of want to be investigating with Aratha on turn 3 with how little action you have going on.
So Herzi tops like Flesh to Rot. Is that useful at all in this matchup? It does kill Scribble's creatures, I guess.
Yeah, it kills Sangjin. Most of the time it will kill Valdez. It does wipe the board of Urbeck tokens, but I have to imagine that if Urbeck is making tokens, Herzi is probably in a rough spot.
Yeah, and Scribble gets a Woods for...
Did they just whiff? And a Wave Decay, which is basically a whiff.
It gains life. It's up to 2 target creatures. You can gain life with this thing.
It does fortunately have a third land. Sangjin will find them a forced land, and they're looking like they're in a pretty good position to slam this Urbeck. So Scribble has some decisions, because they can't just Sangjin, hope draw land, and slam Urbeck. But it could also just Kalimwella.
And then what? Discard Wave of Decay?
Discard the Wave of Decay, yeah.
Your opponent has so many cards in hand that they're willing to discard.
I guess that's fair. Herzi does have a lot of dead cards in this matchup, even if you didn't see any off the Valdez.
They're gonna ramp though, because more mana is always better, I guess.
It decides to not main phase the Sangjin, which is probably fair. Not upkeep it either, which probably doesn't matter too much, but if Herzi drew like a Cursi glance here, to be pretty punished for it.
I mean, maybe they're hoping Herzi taps out. Is there anything that Herzi can tap out for on turn 3?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
but might have just been a better idea to play it on upkeep just to avoid that potential Cursi glance top deck. So it does just dodge Descendant Helpless, so you do get an additional 3 points of damage by unstepping it if Herzi did top deck the Descend.
So Scribble doesn't know about the Flesh to Rot in Herzi's hand. They might play out Valdez and get punished by Flesh to Rot.
It is an interesting decision. I feel like you're more inclined to just play Kalimwella, just to make use of this Wave Decay. Also, you know that Herzi probably doesn't have Cursi Glance because the Sangjin resolved.
Yeah.
So getting your Kalimwella down before Cursi Glance top decked is nice.
So Kalimwella does come down, +1s.
And normally the +1 is a mandatory discard. So if Scribble doesn't draw a dead card here, then the +1 is going to be real awkward next turn. Though keeping it on 4 is fine.
Yeah, it's not Liliana. That's basically what we're saying here.
Yeah, it's especially bad because
it's dying, I guess.
That does leave Herzi without an answer to Sangjin, because they discard the Flesh to Rot instead of the land.
Why did he discard Flesh to Rot? Isn't Valdez floating in Adventure too?
I mean, it's kind of bad. I mean, obviously Herzi doesn't know what's in Scribble's hand, but we do know, and they can kind of make some suspicions.
I mean, just looking at the board right now, you know that Flesh to Rot's eventually going to get a 2-for-1.
Well, kind of.
And plus, you have a bunch of lands to discard anyways, right?
But at the same time, there's this Aratha in play, and you really want a lot of lands in play for Aratha, because it's 5 mana to draw a single card.
Right. Well, 5 mana, the Scribble can play Xanagin, and Herzi's kind of in trouble, because they have no way to deal with Xanagin.
I figure Xanagin's probably better than Urbeck here.
Yeah, I mean...
But do you +2 Xanagan, or do you -3 Xanagan?
+2 Xanagan, of course, because, like, what does Herzi have that can kill Xanagin?
Yeah, well, what does Herzi have that kills Xanagan, so you should -3?
Actually, yeah, good point.
Like, there's this Mono of Queens in hand, but it wasn't played out, so it doesn't threaten. Again, does aside to -3.
Was there a reason to play out Nebula instead of Monument there?
So the Miming Falls doesn't hit them for 1 when they LF it.
I feel like you probably want to play Monument instead of Nebula, just because it gives you more options. The next turn, if your opponent plays Xanagan, you can at least Monument them.
That feels really specific. How many Xanagans is Scribbl on? 3? I guess 3 is a really high number.
Or like just any Planeswalker, because Monument lets you threaten Planeswalkers. Because right now, Herzi has no way to deal with his Xanagan.
But if Scribbl just plays Xanagan in pluses, hits Herzi for 2, I mean,
at least
Xanagan's at 6.
At least you're not dealing with the Xanagan that just minused and is going to plus again.
I feel like you almost need Xanagan to minus and just like hope that nothing is drawn off the top. Because like -3 is obviously like pretty powerful here, but at the same time, like Herzi can barely deal with this board as is.
Yeah.
And if Xanagan +2 twice, then Herzi would be going down to 5 here. And with the 2 Xanagan emblems, that'd be lethal, which would force a monument jump, basically.
Herzi can't even cast your Reminiscence because they don't have double green. And
yeah, they're gonna need to find something off this ready for anything.
Is there any instant speed blockers from Herzi?
Presumably they want to find a Pith World here, but that really doesn't get them out of the woods because then they don't have an answer to this Urbeck.
Well,
bottom, unraveling. Do you just need to cast that to gain 4? I guess it's only gain 3 because of the Booming Falls.
Yeah, I think you're kind of forced to, because yeah, if you don't do that, then
you die to Xanagan uptick.
Yeah, man, unraveling like, gain for life. What a good card.
But now you're in like a worse spot.
Well, I mean, what else are you gonna do, right? Might as well play through your outs, and your outs is hope you don't lose.
I mean, I guess Herzi doesn't just straight up doesn't have an answer to this Xanagan on the deck, right? Like they have no way to kill it if it's on board.
Yeah, more or less.
And if that's the case, then like yeah, they're kind of a bit short on outs. I mean, I guess they can top deck exactly rock and roll, and that puts them to 3.
Singularity's Grasp.
Yeah, but Herzi doesn't know about that. But I guess that is an out, which unraveling -4 does get them to.
I mean, there's no point in not playing out Urbeck here, right? Because again, Herzi has no way to answer it, so you can't get punished for playing it.
Yeah, very true. Definitely important to make sure that your opponent doesn't have an answer, because you don't want to run into like rot ++ or something. 6 mana rot kills everything with 5 CMC or less.
Would that card even be good?
I mean, it's like big rot. Like
I'm pretty sure that card even exists in the format.
What? Oh, clearing the clues. So this does open up rock and roll as a potential out. It's still really spooky, but
okay, Herzi, top deck exact card you need. That's not it.
Yeah, and that's not going to be good enough. I guess I can find a Flesh to Rot.
They still take 2 for casting it, right? Because they have 2 pain lands.
Yeah, they take 2 for casting it, get under 3.
Descend.
I mean, they're alive. Is this Sangjin the smallest thing on the board?
There's a tie.
End of turn. Yeah, I wasn't sure if unraveling was till end of turn, until end of next turn.
Oof.
Good thing it's not text list.
Anyways, so Herzi has Death in Reverse, which is an answer to Xanagan in the sideboard.
Yeah, that's I'd imagine that's all they want. I guess the question might be more just so how many cards you have to take out. The Rot's probably not great. The Flesh Rot's probably not great either. Pith World's also not great. They do need some number of those cards just to answer the random Valdez's.
Looking on the other side, Scribbl has a lot of good cards, I think, because they can bring in Infectious Ego, and Long Forgotten, and Mastery of the Veil. Is Descend useful? No, it's not, right?
Yeah, Herzi's creatureless. Yeah, so Ego and Long Forgotten definitely coming in. I'd be a bit concerned that Master of the Veil is a bit too slow, where it feels like there's a decent chance Herzi can like set up for a card counter before you get X to be 5 or more.
Hey look, Scribbl just drew 3 Infectious Egos and 1 land.
Well, that's a mulligan, and I think that's a mulligan to 5, unfortunately.
Herzi, meanwhile, has 2 Cursed Glances and a Death in Reverse.
More or less the perfect hand. 4 lands, Nareba in case you flood out, 2 Cursed Glances for early interaction, Death in Reverse to slow down any potential walkers.
I mean, the good thing when playing against Death in Reverse is that you still get to play the thing afterwards, so if Herzi's staring down Walker, it's going to come down again next turn and minus again.
Yeah, at the same time, if you're feeling... You can definitely play around Death in Reverse forcing the draw, since, of course, your opponent is forced to draw the card. So
turn 1 Valdez not happening because Fungo Mire.
And especially with the Nareba in hand, Death in Reversing a land might be a potential play here, just to get some tempo advantage. because Scribble doesn't really have many threats that Herzi is worried about until 4 mana.
Okay, we're Fair Shrine. Yeah, that's not the right order to draw your lands in.
We'll be able to spend all their mana since they do have 2/2-drops. So turn 2 Prying Cry, turn 3 Valdez plus Whisperwood.
And then that clears the way for Xanagan, I guess. But Prying Inquiry is going to get countered.
Almost certainly. So what is this unrelenting eyeing in Herzi's deck? Because presumably it's going to be used as tutor.
Reminiscence.
Reminiscence and
loop,
Xanagan.
right?
Yeah, but it is a very slow loop.
It's a slow matchup.
Fair enough, but like it's really slow because you're paying 8 mana to get 1 card back from yard. At that point, just activate Nareba, right?
Yeah, but still, you have that option.
Might be attractive to. I guess Skill does have a lot of things that Herzi does need to counter. This Valdez, and then Whispered probably gets back Prying Inquiry here.
I mean, not probably. It's like it has to get back Prying Inquiry.
I mean, it could get back Valdez.
Yeah, good point. Or maybe it can mill into something.
Skill does decide to pass here.
I mean, Whispered's an instant.
We just saw Herzi draw that Cosmic Sinkhole, which is going to punish Scribble for the impudence.
Yeah, but on the bright side, at least Herzi's out of counter spells, so Scribble can try to slam something next turn.
So, do you ever Death and Reversal land here if you're Herzi? Probably not, right?
Well, you can do something like Death and Reversal land so it gets milled by Whisperwood. Like, that's funny, right?
Yeah, it is making a kind of call that Scribble is bit mana screwed, but at the same time they mulligan 5, so decent chance that they are light on mana.
I mean, what, so you Death and reverse the swamp, Scribble mills the swamp, so they're not top decking land next turn, unless they do. And then, what, they get back something, and now they try to cast it, and you Cosmic Sinkhole it, because they're out of mana.
Yeah, it would be...
It would be funny. That's what it would be.
I don't know if it's funny being land destroyed, but there's the opportunity for Herzi just turn this Destined Reverse into a Vindicate. Noli Westwards is non-land.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the major downsides of a sorcery speed version, I think.
Wait, did
those non-lands though?
Did Herzi just let it resolve?
Yeah, just let it pass through.
I guess they're countering whatever Scribble plays off of it, which is Prying Inquiry, which, I mean, unless Herzi wants to spend 3 to counter it.
Yeah, this probably ends up being the safer play, because if Scribble did have lands there, then you like Death and Reverse the Fungal Maya, then Scribble untaps, plays a land, plays Prying Inquiry, and you don't have the mana to Cosmic Sinkhole this.
Right.
And I definitely feel like you do need to Cosmic Sinkhole this, almost, because this isn't just a Thoughtseize, it's also a drawing card, because chances are Scribble doesn't have anything else to do with the mana this turn.
Yeah.
They can crack the clue for free.
Mirrorgate. Okay, so you can name... Actually, no. Scribble has all their mana they need if they fetch with Grim Bastion.
Yeah, fortunately, being able to draw a big Grim Bastion out of a swamp or something.
Is there any utility lands to name?
Scribble has Quartz Bed and Forgotten Pitch, as well as Monument Queens. Like,
no, actually, yeah.
Want to name that.
I mean, if you Mirrorgate the Monument, can Herzi win without Monument?
Yeah. I mean, we mentioned the Unrelenting plus Shared Reminiscence.
Yeah, but does Herzi want to win without Monument?
I mean, they might have sided out the rock and roll if they're feeling dangerous.
Surely don't side that thing out, right? Because it's finisher.
Yeah, but like at the same time, you could also just play a longer game with Maze Collection. Probably a mistake, especially if they're keeping the Unrelentings. It seems like you want it as a tutor target. And relevantly, they do have it active next gen with the end of turn Unrelenting. Yeah, so Scribble deciding not to fetch in response to Mirrorgate, or thinking on it at least.
I mean, if Herzi names Grim Bastion, then Scribble's more than happy because it's not naming anything more important.
Yeah, and I guess you can't afford to fetch a utility land, because then Herzi just names Fungal Maya. Yeah. And you're kind of hooped there. Nothing in Herzi's graveyard to like want to grab Quartz Bed either. Cursory Glance is not being fetchable Cane Dance because Cane Dance is not in Herzi's deck.
Yeah. No response. Yeah, that's probably the correct response. And Quartz Bed? Why?
You're looking for their name. Just to protect the Unrelentings, I'd assume. Or just like, if this Unrelenting is grabbing Shared Reminiscence, then Quartz Bed obviously kind of wrecks that. Right. Assume this fetch is Forgotten Pit.
We're going to see some Forgotten Pit beats. Very exciting game. Oh,
fetch a Swamp.
Okay, they want to get their 2 basics. And good time to get the 2 basics, because Nomad Township's coming down, and so is Xanagan, I think.
Yeah, imagine this is...
Wait, Urbeck first.
Huh. I would have thought they used Xanagan -3 here.
Well, maybe they don't want to get it countered. They don't know that Herzi doesn't have a Cosmic Sinkhole in hand. For all they know, Herzi already countered 2 discard spells.
Yeah, only use 1 Cosmic Sinkhole, and I guess Unraveling as well. is another card Herzi could have here very easily.
Herzi's going to Unrelenting.
Find Unrelenting.
Okay, what are they gonna find? Rock and roll. Okay.
Yep, definitely kept it in.
And Scribble doesn't have Singularity's Grasp. Now we're about to see a bunch of things on board.
Yeah, so maybe this is a silly question, but does this win the game?
Well, I mean, on one hand, that's 18 power, right? But on the other hand, Herzi's tapped out.
Yeah, because, I mean, Odek does make tap token. I guess this is just lethal, because Herzi does have 2 removal spells in hand, and they can cast both them next turn.
So Scribble needs to top deck Singularity's Grasp. That's not Singularity's Grasp.
I guess like they just Xanadian +2 also just survives.
Yeah.
Bit of a funny +2. But,
wait, no, they're managing. Never mind. Womp womp.
Well, now they're just dead. I don't know what the hell they're trying to draw here.
Singularity's Grasp, obviously.
Yeah, but they can't cast them, and they just die at 14, and Obek makes a tap token, so they take 5 tokens to the face.
Well, they don't know that Herzi has removal, right?
No, that's just dead on board without the removal.
Really? Oh, huh. Good point. I guess Scribble just wasn't doing math right there.
Doesn't end up mattering at all, because of course Herzi does have the removal spells. Nothing off the top would have helped. Scribble would have needed like exactly Singularity's Grasp in the top couple cards.
Do you think Scribble still has Singularity's Grasp in the deck?
Honestly, no idea. I'd probably say no, but
yeah, but after this experience, maybe Scribble will reconsider.
It might be a like draw play decision where like if Scribble was on the play here, they'd be I think generally fine.
Actually, no, Noxious Upwelling also would work.
I feel like Grasp better just because it hits the clues as a worst case scenario.
Yeah, but on the
he
other
doesn't
hand,
have too many clues.
Like 3 mana versus 5 mana, right? And your opponent has Cosmic Sinkhole.
So Scribble will be back on the play in game 3, which is of course very relevant in a Cosmic Sinkhole matchup.
They might be boarding Singularity's Grasp back in right now.
I feel like if you don't want it on the draw, you don't want it on play, but maybe I'm wrong in that. There was also merely a multi-5 from Scribble, though
yeah.
It didn't actually affect them too much. Maybe could have hit a couple more discard spells early on, but they hit all the land drops. So
ooh, that's a good hand.
Yeah, excellent hand.
Meanwhile, Herzi also has a pretty decent hand. They get Maze Collection and some removal.
Yes, so I think the only thing Scribble's hand is missing from being basically perfect is a Valdez to start off with a turn 1 play.
Well, on the bright side, they can play Grim Bastion taps now.
That's true. We did see that 17 versus 19 life difference matter in the last game. So turn 2, do you run up Prying Cry or Long Forgotten?
I think you want to stick the Long Forgotten if your opponent has a counter spell up, because it's going to get you value throughout the whole game.
Yeah, but at the same time, they can also play around it if you play it Long Forgotten first. We do also see Pithbolt in Herzi's hand, so...
Well, I guess Ego isn't coming down on turn 4 now.
Why isn't it?
Forgotten Pit.
Or you can play that at turn 3.
Right.
So Grim Bastion fetches Fungal Mai here, play out your... or just play the Township.
Leading off from Prying Inquiry.
So now what the hell do you take here? So there's a lot of good stuff in Herzi's hand.
Herzi's going to end of turn Secrets of Corelight Court, and there's really nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Maybe just take the Rock and Roll so that you don't get a repeat of last game.
Same time, Herzi's only on 2 lands. 1 in hand, 1 in play.
Yeah, but Rock is also good on 4, right?
I guess that's true, just playing Rock. But then again, if you take like the Unraveling, Rock is a lot less scary.
I think the correct choice here is Unraveling.
And Unraveling is also Herzi's only like kind of real answer to Infectious Eco. And Rock looks a lot worse with if it's staying down Infectious Eco.
Yeah. Although Eco can't exactly attack into the... Never mind, you said Rock, not Roll.
I mean, Eco is also good against Roll. 4/4 Lifelink does do a lot against 3/3 attackers, but definitely better against Rock.
Scribble is certainly taking their time to decide.
You could also argue for Maze Collection, Death and Reverse, or Pithbolt. Yeah.
If you take Pithbolt, then you can start grinding with Long Forgotten, because Herzi does not have a counterspell on 2.
Yeah, taking Pithbolt for Long Forgotten, taking Death in Reverse, generally because it's a really annoying card in this matchup.
You have Ego, you can deal with Death in Reverse. They think Maze.
Yeah, or Maze as Herzi's way to get a whole bunch of counterspells. I mean, it would feel kind of silly if you go take Unraveling, and then Herzi plays Maze on 2, and Unraveling is one of the top 2 cards in the Codex.
Right.
Herzi does fortunately draw 2 lands in a row. Suddenly pretty happy about that.
So does Scribble run the Long Forgotten out into the Pithbolt?
I don't know.
Because like Herzi has Unraveling up next turn, so this is your turn to do something.
Wait, your other option is like Whisper, get back Prying Cry? That feels kind of bad.
You can just crack a clue if you really want to.
That also feels really bad.
I know, right? But if you want to get Ego on 4, then you have to play Forgotten Pit this turn. And
Well,
then
you're
you're running
probably playing Forgotten Pit regardless, because you only have 2 drops in hand.
And now you're running your Ego into an Unraveling. Okay, I
So
guess...
decides to Whisperwood.
Or Crack the Clue, which is,
Yeah.
But there's the option, always, to Crack the Clue.
Yeah, representing Crack the Clue is probably more important than actual options to Crack the Clue for Scribble, because you do want to be getting these Whisperwoods out of your hand.
So Scribble Whisperwoods back a Prying Inquiry, and now they cleared away for Long Forgotten.
Yeah, so you're thinking they go Whisperwoods, go back and cry, untap, Bastion, Prying Cry?
Yeah, and it's not like... Well, actually, no, they have Heritage both Unraveling and Pith Mode, so they will be able to answer the Long Forgotten, no matter what Scribble takes.
They will be left with basically nothing in hand. Death and Verse. Very bad answer if you don't have anything to follow it up with.
Actually, Scribble can try again, because they have a second Whisperwoods, so after Herzi deals with the first Long Forgotten, Scribble just gets it back with Whisperwoods.
So Herzi is fetching a spawn, so I wonder if this is a Death and Reverse on land.
Oof, yeah, that's actually just pretty painful.
Yeah, it does mess up Scribble's mana situation quite a bit. It does ensure they get a draw off this Long Forgotten, though, because you can just slam it down, exile Death and Reverse, plus Secrets to Quality Court.
Sanjing. Maybe just take Sanjing here.
Yeah, Sanjing's a really attractive option when Herzi just blew up one of your lands.
I think you're kind of forced to take Sanjing here, because if you don't take Sanjing, then, like, what's your mana situation going to keep looking like, right?
Well, at the same time, you do have 2 pretty high-quality targets to take off the Prying Inquiry, with Unraveling and Rock and Roll being known cards to Scribble.
You also have the Clue lying around, so you do want to get more mana. Take the Prying Inquiry instead of Sanjing.
So, really looking to draw land in one of the top 2 cards. Master of the Veil looks really bad here.
Yeah, so running out Prying Inquiry, taking the Unraveling probably. I mean, that's not bad. You get to strip Herzi of their only counterspell while they're tapped out. And then what? If you top deck a land again, now you get to slam Ego, and they can't Pith Bolt it.
Yeah, but they are ticking up towards this Rock and Roll pretty fast. 5 out of 6 lands for it. If Herzi finds a single answer's Ego, then Scribble is looking in kind of dire straits, and Scribble still needs to draw the land for the Ego.
Worst comes to worst, you can Whisperwoods back a Sanjing or something.
Yeah, but that is incredibly slow.
So let's see if Herzi taps out for Rock on the next turn. I assume they don't, because they want to roll, but,
Yeah, we'll see how they roll. Or if they rock. There's a 6th land, so
they're definitely not rocking now.
They are insured having roll. They also don't really have any reason to get more lands at the moment. They have a Secrets to Call it Courting Yard.
Yeah, they can reprise out into Pithwelt.
It plays Nebula, which strikes me as a rock kind of play.
Well, they didn't add... Yeah,
it doesn't name green, so...
There's just the Pithwelt and reprise Secrets to Call it Court onto it, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. Well, Valda's a very good draw.
Yeah, it strips the Rock and Roll, and now Herzi just has no top end.
Is there any argument for naming low on Valda's?
I mean, you know what's in Herzi's hand, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking name low on Valda's, slam the Long Forgotten.
That also works, I think.
Like, naming high is definitely way safer here.
They name low. Okay, they're going for the Long Forgotten plan. And they see the 2 lands in Herzi's hand and probably breathe a sigh of relief, or are really worried because Roll is coming out.
Yeah, so they have a couple options here. They could Long Forgotten, which getting Long Forgotten up is obviously great. And if they hit a land in the next 2 draws, since Long Forgotten, of course, X will get a draw on Herzi's upkeep, they can then Whisperwoods back a Prying Inquiry, provided Herzi doesn't draw any counterspells.
Yeah.
And Ego, provided Herzi doesn't draw incredibly well, does do a decent job of stopping Roll.
And also it exiles Unraveling and Secrets, so makes Herzi's graveyard worse. And Prying Inquiry up top.
Yeah, that also definitely works.
Oof, another land. Does Herzi have any utility lands to fetch?
I think the answer is no.
Does Herzi just want to rock now in case their opponent has anything?
I feel like that's playing to lose.
Yeah. Okay, land off the top. Do you Prying Inquiry or do you Infectious Ego?
I feel like you just slam Ego here.
Really? Maybe Inquiry is safer because in case your opponent has a counterspell, and if they don't, then you just take the roll.
Yeah, but if they have the counterspell, they just slam Roll anyways. I guess the massive outplay to an Ego would be Maze Collection, and then Maze Collection gets sacked.
Yeah.
Or Ready for Anything as well. Of course, Ready for Anything could find a counterspell, but just having the guaranteed out of sacking the Clue, slamming the Roll is pretty nasty. And now Herzi's super far on the back foot.
They can always top deck. What can they top deck?
Shared Omniscience, I guess.
What can they get back with Shared? Oh, Scribble hasn't exiled the Roll yet for some reason.
Yeah, Herzi only has 1 Sorcerer in Yard, right?
Right.
So wouldn't have been able to get the draw.
Well, if there's a good time to top deck Sheer Reminiscence, this is it, and that's not Sheer Reminiscence.
Yeah, so now this ego is going to start taking away. This mastery is going to start taking away. Scribble also has the option to exile the rock and roll. At this point, they probably don't care too much about the extra draws. If you really want to be safe about the game, 11 life isn't the safest number versus unravelings and such. It's still fairly safe, but you don't want to take too far down.
Now you're cracking clues.
Yeah, cracks the clue instead of playing the wisp words. Makes sense. Nothing in your lot is really helpful.
Ooh, singular is grabbed. Looks like Scribble boarded it in.
Yeah, and that one meant that even if Herzi did draw a counterspell there, Scribble would have found it out to roll, if barely.
Infectious Ego comes down.
Yeah,
on the bright side, at least Herzi has lots of lands.
Silver linings. But now Herzi really needs to start drawing exceptionally well. I need to start with a ready for anything top deck into a couple really high value action spells.
Scribble has stopped caring about drawing cards off Long Forgotten now. Well, I mean,
that's not. I mean, it's not the worst. It does kind of dig Herzi a bit deeper into the hole there, and though.
You just death and reverse the Infectio in response to Whisper Woods.
Relying on opponent to have a second Whisperwoods here seems a bit greedy.
Okay, 6 lands. So they can... Or no, they can't. Okay, 7 lands. They can Master the Veil really soon.
Yeah, Master the Veil will be doming for 10 on Cyber Man, is it?
Okay, Herzi's going to death and reverse the Infectio Ego now.
So now if Scribble wants, they can just go Whisperwoods, get back Ego, play Ego.
I mean, they can just crack a clue.
Oh yeah, that works too. But the clue crack being a quick way to get back Ego is definitely not what you wanted to see.
Oh, it does? Okay, yeah, that's a faster clock. Although... wait, no, is it faster?
I mean, Herzi can just not play anything.
If Herzi's not playing anything, then that's really bad for them.
Well, I mean, they draw ready for anything, don't play it, kind of thing.
Or, just draw Ego off the top.
So another draw step of Destiny for Herzi. Sitting first gives them a slightly better odds to find some action here. Is there anything they could draw that's not like ready for anything? Xanagan, maybe? Unraveling? I mean, since Scribble didn't play out the Ego, that does work. Decide to play out the island, which I'm not sure about.
Maybe they figured that, like, what's the worst Valdez can do, right?
I only hit you for 2 more.
Ooh, 2 Egos off top.
Ego. Can't play both of them.
They can Master the Veil now.
I feel like you just want to slam Ego.
Yeah, maybe Scribble will be tempted to end the game and then get punished by Unraveling when they try to Veil for 5.
Yeah, so Herzi playing that land makes them take 2 more damage. Since Scribble didn't pre-combat Ego. But maybe if Herzi had 2 cards, maybe they pre-combat Ego.
Okay, let's see if Scribble falls for it. Darn, they're not going to.
And Unraveling will be exiled from the Long Forgotten, so no real chance for Herzi to like chain together the Unravelings here.
So what happens if Herzi top-sec Maze Collection and then top-sec Mind Rip off that?
That would be a way back in the game, certainly.
What can Herzi get off Mind Rip?
Honestly, not much, but I'm not going to check because that's a lot of checking.
What?
Mind Rip is kind of the most complex card in Maze Collection, subtly.
Really? Not the card that has way more text on it?
Well,
Descend.
Part of the thing, Descend is pretty darn good here because it gets back Sanction.
Does it have to have a target?
Oh, I guess, yeah. Cormorant does target. So Scribble's on the feet, they can Whisper in response.
The
front side. Yes, of course.
Maybe you should have kept this in hand so that you wait for your opponent to play out their Infectious Ego so you can have 2 targets for Descend, because now it's just going to get exiled.
And that sounds really bad, considering you're taking 5 from the Valdez.
Well, your opponent has Ego in hand, right? Or, no, you don't, right?
Not that it matters here, because Herzi is just dead to Mastery for 6, which Scribble conveniently has the mana for.
Seems like boarding in the Mastery ended up paying off.
I'm not sure if I'd say that, considering Scribble's at 7 really impactful cards in hand. Herzi's on nothing anywhere.
Yeah, and there goes Herzi. Unfortunate for anyone who's cheering for the Maze Collection decks.
Is anyone cheering for the Maze Collection decks?
I know, people wanted to get all 4 Maze Collection decks into the top 8.
I mean, like, it was a possibility, but as someone on Maze Collection, I don't think it's the most exciting card. Maybe the best way to put it is might not be a fan favorite, getting hard countered 3 turns in a row for Maze Collection.
Well, I'm also pretty thankful that it didn't make it in, because my deck is really bad against those type of decks.
Well, fortunately for you, the way that the bracket split means that Scribble is going up against first seed, which is Ambrose, who's on a Maze Collection deck. And other side of the bracket is me, who's on same deck as Ambrose, versus Froggy. And so we have 3 control decks plus Angel Pools, which is pretty close to control.
Yeah, except it doesn't actually have counter spells.
Yeah. I mean, the black-green deck doesn't have counter spells either. And on the other side of the bracket, we have no control, I believe.
Wonderful.
So I would imagine you're pretty happy about these bracket splits. Admittedly, you're also facing mono red, which
Hey, I have lots of good sideboard cards against that.
do you?
Yeah, I have some life gain. I have the more life gain.
You can fetch off Minister. Yeah.
Yeah, I have some removal. I mean, that's fine, right?
Yeah, versus the 3 creatures. Just don't think too much about it. Combo off turn 3, yeah, no.
Yeah.
And then you're probably good. But definitely a pretty polarizing matchup split. Slower decks are on one side of the bracket, whereas the fast decks, I believe, are on the other side.
Yeah.
I guess Dragon Covenant isn't the fastest deck, and I think neither's Pressure, I think it's the lowest deck, but definitely faster than Angel Pools and whatnot.
But enough sterilizing. We'll see what happens when it happens.